Hey folks, I need to explore a thought to see if this fits. And I'm exploring it with you. We're kind of doing this simultaneously. This is just stuff that are popping up in me right now. And it begins with the fact that you really can liken. And I think if anybody's been listening to, Jesus Words Only, several other, anti-Paul, sites out there, not only mine. But I think if you've heard very many of these, you're going to understand that most of us are saying Paul is the voice of the serpent. He is the voice of the liar. All right, so when you go back into Ezekiel 29 and you see that Pharaoh is, called the great dragon, and that God is going to put a hook in his jaws, and he is going to pull him up out of the Nile with all the fish of his scales sticking to him. Let us also remember that the dragon also goes by the name of Leviathan, who is king over the children of pride. So, fashioning Paul into the image of Pharaoh, the great dragon, all right, who represents the lie that began in the Garden of Eden, that the commandments of God, that obeying God is unnecessary. All right. Probably the first time that Pauline grace was ever preached, was in the Garden of Eden. And unfortunately, you look back and it's all history now. They bought into it. Adam and Eve were like the first two Christians, that bought into Paul. And in this case, the planet, everybody here, folks, not just in America, but we are vastly approaching, and we stand at a threshold of destruction. Yahshua said, no flesh would be saved. None. Had he not cut short those days. And he says, through the elect, those days shall be cut short. Those days shall be lopped off. But through the elect, what is he doing through the elect? Who is the elect? Is it the church? Is it Christianity? Well, that's not what God said. God said, Israel, my elect. And as I have shared many, many times, the Jews are not the house of Israel. How can they be? They hate and despise the King of Kings. They hate and despise Yahshua. Do not deceive yourselves. There are very, 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 very few living in the land of Israel that are followers of Yahshua. There's a lot of Messianics out there. Well, not a lot, but they've got some pretty fair numbers. But they're all of them followers of Paul. They incorporate Paul. So you got yourself a problem right there. But anyway, let's get back to the gist of the matter here, in that you really can begin to see Paul as a manifestation of the dragon, whether you want to see the great red dragon or just Pharaoh, the great dragon, or Leviathan, king over the children of pride. But folks, Christianity has never received the promise of the Father. You got to go back to Exodus. You have to go back to Exodus. This is a people. This is a people that, if you want to liken them unto the house of Israel, because remember that Israel, or Ephraim, upon whom Jacob placed the name Israel, upon Ephraim, who was also swapped in favor. I mean, he was given the birthright of the firstborn. Ephraim was. And Ephraim was swallowed up by the Gentiles, as Jacob prophesied that he would be. In this case, folks, Christianity represents the Gentiles. That's who they call themselves, the Gentiles. Well, Israel. If you want to call it the northern 10 tribes, but quite frankly, if you go back in and you read the first couple lines in the book of James, he says to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, not 10, 12. That includes the house of Judah, was also scattered abroad in the days of James, in the days of Yeshua. Judah was already scattered abroad east of the Euphrates. So again, I just want to caution you that when you're looking at the 144,000, which is the house of Israel, don't make the deadly assumption that these are Jews. They are not Jews. These are you. This is you. Those of you that have ears to hear and eyes to see, this is you. You are being called out unto him. You are being called out by the Holy Spirit unto Yeshua. Unto him. The gathering is unto him. Christianity has gathered unto Paul, the great dragon. In the not too distant future, folks, that's going to be the image of Paul. And I guarantee you the days are coming when no mother, no father will ever want to put that name Paul on their child. They just won't. And I'll tell you what, when you go back in and you read the reward to the church of Pergamos and how they're going to get a new name, they're going to get a white stone with a new name written on it. You know why he has to give them a new name? Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of them were probably named Paul. Or they had some other kind of ridiculous Gentile name. And I'm going to tell you something, names, in a very real way, people, names are like crowns, right? And you're going to manifest your name. You're supposed to. You are supposed to. That's why a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. A good name, right? Where are you going to find those good names? Well, you're not going to find them in Greek mythology. You're not going to find them in Roman mythology. You're not going to find them, in the streets of Detroit and Chicago and New York and LA. You're not going to find good names in those towns and in those places. You're going to find good names, people, in the book of Chronicles. All those just, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of, good names in there. Very good names. People should be naming their kids Joshua, Isaiah, Jeremiah. They should. Anything but Paul. Sheesh. Anyway, I'm telling you truly, man, the name Paul is not going to be allowed in the nation of Israel. Ain't going to be allowed. That is the reproach. That is a judgment. This man's name is blotted out. His name is going to be blotted out. Back to fashioning Paul into the image of Pharaoh, the great dragon. What does that mean? That means that when the deliverer comes, when the promise of the Father comes, he is going to destroy Pharaoh. He's going to destroy Paul. The fear of God is going to come upon the people. Not only upon them, but those who are blessed, it will be within them. And you are once again going to see the fall of Paul, the great dragon. But in the meantime, oh gee, look what we get to do. Let my people go. You're going to speak to the lie. You're going to speak to the dragon, and you're going to say, let my people go in the name of Yahshua. Let my people go. You're going to be saying stuff like that in your prayer time soon. Anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that. This was a thought that I was exploring this morning. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.